Hi, my name is Ariel and welcome to Mermaid Astrology. So I'm going to do a video on some basic astrology today. Gonna be honest, if you're someone who's been studying astrology for a long time, this video probably isn't for you, but if you're someone who's kind of new to astrology, this is a good place to start. When you first get into astrology and discover more than just the basic sun sign, it can be overwhelming. I think sometimes people give up on learning about astrology because it is so overwhelming. Like astrology, it can be a lot. I've been studying astrology for 10 plus years and I'm still learning. And honestly, if you're a good astrologer, you're always going to continue to be learning because there's always more to learn when it comes to astrology. Honestly, that's part of what is so exciting about astrology. Well, at least to me. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. My point is, if you're just starting to get into astrology and you're just like, oh my God, what's happening? This is so much. Like, stop, calm down, take a deep breath, and just look at the sun, moon, and rising sign. These are what I call the big three in astrology. And the reason I call them that is because they are three of the most important placements in your natal chart. They're definitely the three most well known. Everyone knows their basic sun sign, and even a lot of people who aren't necessarily really into astrology still know what their moon and their rising sign is. If you don't know what your moon and your rising is and you're like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm going to link below a website that'll show you what your moon and your rising sign is. The reason these three are some of the biggest is because they represent our ego, our outer presentation, and our emotional nature. These are all super important parts of people's personalities. So if you can read what these three mean in someone's natal chart, you already have a good framework of who that person is. So what are these three signs specifically? Your rising sign is your outer presentation. It's the part of yourself that you are the most comfortable with expressing. So when you meet someone for the first time, what you're seeing is their rising sign. Your sun sign is your ego. It's what you need to do to feel good about yourself. It shows your self-confidence. Your rising sign is your instant reaction versus your sun sign is more of, it's a conscious choice. It's you saying to yourself, this is who I choose to be. Your moon sign is your emotional nature. It's how you react when you react solely based on emotions. The sun is more about what you want, and the moon is more about what you need. It's what you emotionally can't live without. So when you put these three signs together, it's nowhere near the full picture of who that person is, but you're giving yourself a good jumping off point. When you're looking at someone's chart, especially if you're new to astrology, it's important to look at these three placements first. If you think about it, sort of like you're putting together a puzzle. I sound like I'm 80, but whatever. When you're putting together a puzzle, the easiest way to do it is to put the edge pieces together first. It gives you a clear framework by literally giving you the frame of a puzzle. If you know how to put the sun, moon, and rising together, you have a pretty good outline of a person. You have a pretty good frame of that person. Honestly, if you're talking to someone and you just put these three things together for them, even if you're not a very good astrologer yet, you're still gonna blow that person's mind. Without having a full understanding of someone's chart, you're still gonna have a pretty good idea of who they are just by putting these three things together. So how do you put them together? That's where it starts to get a little bit tricky again. A lot of astrologers, what they do is they come up with different keywords for the different planets and different keywords for the different signs, and then they put those keywords together basically. Honestly though, I don't like it. I think it's very boring. I think it's very clinical. I think it doesn't take into account the individuality of that other person and the feeling of that other person. Really good astrologers, in my opinion, don't look at a natal chart like math, but they feel in their gut, they feel the emotion of that other person. Again, a lot of astrologers disagree with me on this, but whatever, I don't really care. Not everyone is the same. So when you look at someone's chart, you shouldn't dissect everyone's chart in the same way. So let's look at some examples of putting together someone's sun, moon, and rising. Obviously, this is very basic, and this is a starting off point. You could spend a lot more time talking about the combination of someone's sun, moon, and rising sign than I'm gonna do here. I just kind of want to give you some examples to work with so you sort of get an idea of how to do it. So using me for an example, because I know my natal chart pretty well. I am a Virgo rising, Aquarius sun, and Gemini moon. What that tells you right off the bat when you put these three things together is that I'm someone who's highly logical, often at the expense of my emotions. My rising, which is the part of myself I'm the most comfortable expressing, is very introverted. Yet my sun and my moon are both very extroverted. So when I first meet people, I'm not very comfortable around them. I'm very internal. I become very shy. However, when I'm with people that I've known for quite some time and that I'm very comfortable with, I'm very extroverted and I love to talk and I love to be exciting and be out there and put my emotions out there for them. My sun and my moon, they're both air signs. So it means like doubly that I love to talk to people. Both my ego and my emotional nature are both taken care of through speech, which is not something you would think about me when you first met me. Now let's take someone with a Cancer rising, Pisces sun, and Pisces moon. This is someone who's going to appear highly emotional and introverted when you first meet them. And as you get to know them, you see you were exactly right, that they are even more emotional and introverted than you probably even originally thought. Because their first reaction, their ego, and their emotions, all these planets are taking place in a water sign. So you know this is someone who's super sensitive, and you know this is someone who gets their feelings hurt very easily. So you as a person know to be very delicate with them. They're the type of person who gets their feelings hurt easily, even when others don't mean to do that. So you kind of have to then give them a break. Basically, if you're like, I don't understand why they have their feelings hurt about that, that's just who they are. That's just who they are as a person. You're never going to change that about them, basically. Let's take another example. Let's say someone has an Aries rising, Cancer sun, and Taurus moon. You know this is someone who's already a little bit more complicated because, like my last example, they all have water. I have just earth and air. This is someone who their sun, moon, and rising are all in different elements. There's someone who's going to appear super outgoing and extroverted, way more so than they actually are. This is the type of person who, when people look at them, they think what you see is what you get, but that's not actually the case. This is someone who's honestly not as confident as they initially appear. And there's someone who's more complex and deep and has a lot more of an introverted side and keeps a lot more to themselves than anyone initially thinks. Final example, I promise, I wanted to give multiple examples of different types of personalities. Let's say someone has a Leo rising, Sagittarius sun, and Leo moon. This is someone who appears extroverted and bold and fun and full of life. And they actually are extroverted and fun and bold and full of life. So much of what they present, like on the outside world, that is just who they are. You honestly really don't have to examine it that much. Their outer appearance to the world is very closely aligned, like with their ego and with their emotional nature. All three of these placements are very similar personality types, right? So the person they are presenting for the world to see, that is their true nature. So I hope this helps to give you some kind of basic understanding of the sun, moon, and rising sign in astrology. I am going to make individual series on the sun, moon, and rising signs, going into what every astrology sign basically is in those signs. So like I'm going to go into like what an Aries sun is, what a Taurus sun is, what a Cancer rising is, what a Leo rising is, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be way more specific, so I just kind of wanted to give you like a general overview before I did that. So if you like this video and you want to see what those series are like in the future, subscribe below so you can see when those pop up. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.